Hollywood is obsessed with perfect angles and camera-ready beauty. But what happens when a trend designed to enhance youth leaves stars looking hollow, older, and unrecognizable? One irreversible procedure changed everything. Tonight, we reveal the Hollywood stars who may have ruined their faces with buccal fat removal, and the first name might shock you. Leah Michelle. Back in 2009, when Glee exploded into pop culture, Leah Michelle arrived as Rachel Berry with a face Hollywood loves to cast and audiences instantly trust. Soft, rounded cheeks, natural fullness, and that unmistakable babyface energy that made her believable as a high schooler without forcing viewers to suspend reality. She did not just play youthful ambition, she physically embodied it. Relatable, familiar, and effortlessly young. Then time passed and something shifted. Around 2016, subtle changes began to appear. At first, it was easy to blame lighting makeup or a sharper contour style. But by 2018, the difference was impossible to ignore. The gentle curves of her cheeks had given way to pronounced hollows beneath the cheekbones, creating a more angular, mature structure. Beauty insiders quickly clocked the look as the kind of hollowing that does not usually happen naturally, especially not that fast. Here is where the irony kicks in. The promise of buccal fat removal is definition. A slimmer face, model-like angles, something that photographs beautifully in still images. But what often gets left out of the sales pitch is how fast that same definition can translate into visual aging. What looks trendy and sculpted at 25 can read as hardened and experienced a decade later. Not older in a glamorous way. Older in a why does she look ahead of her own timeline way. The real issue is permanence. This is not a haircut you regret and grow out. Once that cheek fat is gone, it is gone. And that fullness, the very thing many people lose slowly over decades, is what helps a face age gently instead of sharply. Removing it early can skip entire chapters of natural aging and jump straight to the final edit. For Leah, the consequences are especially pointed because that fullness was once her advantage. Early in her career, it allowed her to play younger roles with ease. Post-transformation industry insiders suggest the opposite problem emerged. She is still beautiful, but the sharper structure now pushes her into a more mature visual category. In casting, perception is everything. She is not even 40 yet, the face reads older before she says a word. The timing raised eyebrows too. The changes aligned with her return to Broadway, where stronger facial definition can work under intense stage lighting. But what reads clean from a distance can look severe up close in high-definition cameras and unfiltered red carpet photos. Audience reaction has been less outrage and more confusion. Not she looks bad, but she does not look like herself. And that is the real loss. Fans did not just follow Rachel Berry, they grew attached to Leah as she was. Now that familiarity feels edited. Leah Michelle ends up as a cautionary example of chasing definition at the expense of longevity. She started with the kind of youthful fullness people later spend fortunes trying to restore and may have traded it for cheekbones that arrived early and brought premature maturity with them. Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz entered Hollywood with something rare: natural distinction. Her face had balance, not bravado. Soft cheek fullness paired with visible bone structure, angular but never harsh. She did not look designed for trends, she looked timeless. In a sea of sharpened faces, Zoe stood out by not trying to compete with them. Early in her career, that balance was her signature. The gentle fullness in her cheeks softened already prominent cheekbones, creating an ethereal quality that felt effortless and unique. She already had definition. The softness did not hide it. It completed it. Then quietly, that softness disappeared. Around 2018 to 2019, red carpet appearances began telling a different story. The midface looked noticeably more hollow. The area beneath the cheekbones developed visible concavity, creating deeper shadows and sharper planes. This was not the slow shift of aging or weight fluctuation. It appeared with a clear before and after quality that made speculation inevitable. What changed was not just structure but energy. Where there was once balance, there was now severity. Where there was softness, there was edge. Fashion insiders praised the look as more high fashion, more editorial, but others noticed the cost. In gaining angles, she lost something harder to define and harder to replace: uniqueness. The irony is that Zoe already embodied what buccal fat removal promises: bone structure, definition, presence. The cheek fullness was not excess, it was harmony. Removing it did not elevate her beauty, it rearranged it. The timing matters. Her facial evolution aligned with a rise into more serious, high-profile roles, including the Batman. In Hollywood, there is an unspoken rule that sharper faces read stronger, more mature, more authoritative on camera. Softer faces read younger, and women are often pressured to make that visual leap unmistakably clear. But the camera is unforgiving. What looks chic in controlled lighting can read hollow and drained in motion in interviews in candid moments. Angles photograph well. Hollowness lingers. Public reaction has been split. Some praise the sculpted look. Others miss the face that felt different, not prettier, but singular. And that distinction matters in an industry built on sameness. Zoe Kravitz did not become unattractive. That is not the story. The story is subtraction. Trading softness for conformity, refining a face that never needed fixing. So here's the real question for you. Do sharp angles really mean growth, or are we watching Hollywood slowly erase the very features that made its stars unforgettable in the first place? Bella Hadid. When Bella Hadid first stepped into the modeling world, her beauty felt natural and unforced. Soft cheeks, rounded contours, and a youthful face that looked real rather than engineered. She was striking but approachable, pretty in a way that still felt human. At that stage, she looked like a beautiful girl who became a model, not a face designed specifically for Fashion Week. Then the angles arrived. Between roughly 2016 and 2018, Bella's facial structure changed so dramatically that it became one of the most analyzed transformations in modern modeling. The shift was not slow or subtle. It appeared quickly and almost entirely in the mid-face. The cheeks that once carried softness developed deep hollows beneath the cheekbones, carving out sharp planes that read instantly as high fashion. Photographers praised it. Insiders quietly raised eyebrows. In the fashion industry, severity sells. Hollow cheeks create shadows. Shadows create drama. And drama sells clothes. As Bella's face grew more sculpted, her career skyrocketed. Luxury brands lined up, editorials multiplied, runways opened wider. From a professional standpoint, the transformation worked. The industry rewarded her for it in real time. Public reaction, however, was more divided. Critics began describing her look as over-sculpted rather than enhanced. Striking in still photographs, yes, but increasingly unnatural in motion and everyday lighting. The softness that once balanced her features was gone, replaced by a face so angular it sometimes felt closer to mannequin than model. What looked powerful in a campaign could read gaunt in candid photos. What makes Bella's case especially influential is her reach. She is not just a model, she is a blueprint. Plastic surgeons reportedly see young women arrive with Bella's face as a reference, believing the look can be achieved with contouring or weight loss. What is rarely understood is that this level of hollowing often requires permanent surgical change. Once that facial fat is removed, it does not return. That permanence is the real risk. Bella achieved this look in her early 20s, an age when facial fat normally protects youthfulness for decades. Removing it early can fast-forward aging. The hollows that look dramatic and fashionable at 25 do not freeze in time. They deepen. What reads as editorial now may read as tired later. Bella has never fully confirmed buccal fat removal, choosing selective transparency instead. She has admitted regret over a nose job done as a teenager while remaining silent about other procedures. That silence has only fueled speculation as her face continues to evolve. Bella Hadid's transformation is not presented as a failure. It is a case study in how the fashion industry rewards extremes. But it is also a warning. Her success helped normalize a beauty standard that trades softness for structure, longevity for immediacy, and youth for angles sharp enough to dominate a runway but unforgiving over time. Megan Fox. When Megan Fox first appeared in Transformers in 2007, Hollywood collectively froze. Her beauty did not look curated, it looked accidental, almost unreal. Perfect symmetry softened by natural fullness, strong bone structure balanced by smooth cheeks. She became the reference face. The photo young women brought to surgeons and whispered, "I want this." And here's the cruel irony, she already had what everyone else was chasing. For years, Megan's face barely changed. If anything, it aged gracefully, holding on to the fullness that kept her features soft despite sharp bones underneath. Then slowly and then suddenly that changed. By around 2019 to 2020, the shift became undeniable. Her midface began to hollow. The cheeks that once gave her face warmth and dimension collapsed inward, creating deep concavity beneath the cheekbones. The structure sharpened. The shadows deepened. What once felt naturally striking began to feel engineered. Experts analyzing her evolution suggest multiple interventions, but buccal fat removal appears to be a key piece of the puzzle. The specific pattern of hollowing is difficult to achieve through makeup, weight loss, or aging alone. It is surgical, and it is permanent. The result is a face that still photographs beautifully but differently. Where Megan once looked effortless, she now looks constructed. Where she once felt iconic, she now feels stylized. The softness that made her beauty approachable has been replaced by angles that feel intentional, almost severe. This is what makes her transformation so unsettling. Megan Fox did not need enhancement. She was already the standard. In chasing a sharper, more exaggerated version of beauty, she moved away from what made her unforgettable and closer to a look many describe as generic, even interchangeable. The timing adds another layer. Her most dramatic facial changes coincided with her return to the spotlight, a public relationship, and a career resurgence. In Hollywood, comebacks often come with reinvention. And too often, reinvention means more intervention. Public reaction has been overwhelmingly confused. Not outrage. Confusion. Fans do not say she looks bad. They say she looks different, like a version of Megan Fox built from memory rather than recognition. And that is the danger of buccal fat removal when combined with other procedures. Each change may seem small, but together they rewrite a face, not just aging it, but altering its identity. If you want more deep dives like this into Hollywood's beauty secrets and the trends they don't warn you about, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown. Chrissy Teigen. In a culture where most celebrities dodge cosmetic surgery questions like landmines, Chrissy Teigen did something almost rebellious. She told the truth. No vague statements, no it's just makeup. She openly admitted to having buccal fat removed, and in doing so turned herself into one of the clearest real-world case studies of what this trend actually does. Before the procedure, Chrissy's face was known for its fullness and expressiveness. Rounded cheeks, soft contours, and a warmth that matched her public personality. Her face moved when she laughed. It crinkled. It felt alive. That fullness was not a flaw. It was part of what made her recognizable and relatable in an industry full of polished sameness. Then in late 2021, she casually confirmed the procedure on social media, even pointing to the exact areas of her cheeks that had been altered. The honesty was shocking, not the surgery itself. Almost no one at her level says the quiet part out loud. Visually, the change was immediate. The cheeks that once gave her face softness developed noticeable hollows beneath the cheekbones. Her face became more angular, more shadowed, more sculpted. The difference was impossible to miss, especially because Chrissy documents her life constantly. There was no hiding behind controlled press photos. The before and after lived right next to each other online. At first she seemed satisfied, even defiant. When criticized, she brushed it off with humor, joking that people were mad whether she gained weight or lost it. But as time passed, her tone shifted. In later interviews, she admitted she may not have needed the procedure at all. Not full regret, but hesitation. Reflection. Something rarely shared once a permanent change is already done. That is what makes Chrissy's story so important. She shows the emotional arc most celebrities keep private. The excitement, the justification. Then the quiet realization that a trend-driven decision does not disappear when the trend does. The face you choose is the face you keep. The permanence is the problem. Buccal fat removal does not fade. It does not dissolve. It does not grow back. And facial fat is not just decoration. It is structural. It is what keeps a face looking rested instead of tired as the years pass. Removing it early can make time hit harder later. Chrissy's openness turned her face into an unintentional warning label. Fans could see exactly what changed and how it aged in real time. No mystery, no denial, just cause and effect. Her case proves that honesty does not undo permanence. You can own the decision joke about it, even question it later. But the mirror does not negotiate. Chrissy Teigen did not just admit to buccal fat removal. She exposed the part no one likes to talk about. Sometimes the real regret is not how it looks today, but knowing you cannot go back to how it once did. Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron grew up in front of the camera with a face audiences felt protective over. As a Disney Channel star, her look was the definition of youthful softness. Heart-shaped face, full cheeks, gentle features, and that carefully curated innocence Disney packages so well. She looked young because she was young, and more importantly, she looked like herself. Then the switch flipped. Around 2020 to 2021, fans began doing double takes. Red carpets, Instagram posts, music visuals. The change was not gradual or subtle. The soft contours that once defined her face were replaced by sharp angles and deep hollows beneath the cheekbones. The fullness disappeared almost overnight, leaving behind a much more sculpted and dramatically mature appearance. The reaction was immediate and intense. Longtime fans did not say she looked bad, they said she looked unrecognizable, like someone wearing Dove Cameron's face rather than being her. The mid-face hollowing in particular drew attention, matching the same pattern experts associate with buccal fat removal, especially unusual for someone still in their early 20s. What makes Dove's transformation especially striking is how directly it contradicts her original appeal. Her Disney-era image was built on approachability and warmth. The new look trades that softness for a high-fashion severity that reads significantly older than her actual age. Not evolved, fast-forwarded. This is a familiar trap for former child stars. There is enormous pressure to visually separate from a youthful image as quickly and decisively as possible. In Hollywood, maturity is often signaled through sharpness, edgier styling, harder angles, less softness, and buccal fat removal has quietly become shorthand for, "I'm not a kid anymore." But the irony is brutal. In trying to look older and more serious, many young stars end up looking prematurely aged instead. The very fat that would have helped their faces age gracefully over decades is removed in one irreversible decision. Dove's transformation coincided with her pivot into more adult music and roles, suggesting the change was not accidental but strategic. A physical rebrand to match a career rebrand. The problem is that careers evolve, faces do not get reset. Public reaction remains divided. Some praise the dramatic edgy glow up. Others mourn the loss of the softness that made her feel relatable. What almost everyone agrees on is that the change was extreme. Dove Cameron's story is not about losing beauty. It is about overshooting transformation, trading youth for sharpness, innocence for intensity, and discovering that once softness is gone, it does not come back when the trend moves on. What do you think about Dove Cameron's transformation? Was it a bold evolution or a step too far? Share your thoughts in the comments. Madonna. Madonna has built an entire career on reinvention. Decade after decade, she changed her sound, her image, her attitude, and somehow stayed ahead of culture every time. Lace to latex, pop princess to provocateur. Reinvention was her superpower, until the reinvention stopped being artistic and started living entirely on her face. For years, Madonna aged in a way that surprised people. Well into her 40s and 50s, she retained natural facial fullness, especially in her cheeks, which softened her features and kept her looking recognizably herself. That fullness did a lot of quiet work. It balanced strong bone structure and allowed her face to evolve without collapsing into sharpness. Then something shifted. Over the last several years, her appearance began to change rapidly and dramatically. Experts speculate not one single procedure, but a layered strategy. Fat removal here, filler there, lifting techniques layered on top. And within that combination, buccal fat removal appears to play a critical role. The mid-face began to hollow in a way that was not present before, creating a stark contrast between sunken areas and others that appeared tight or overfilled. The result is a face that feels compartmentalized, hollow cheeks paired with fullness elsewhere, sharp concavity next to smooth tension. Instead of creating youthfulness, the contrast draws attention to the intervention itself. The eye no longer reads Madonna, it reads modification. This is where the irony becomes painful. The very fat that was removed is the same fat most people lose naturally as they age. That fat acts as a buffer against time. When it disappears too early or too aggressively, aging does not slow down, it accelerates. The face does not gently evolve, it collapses in specific places. Public conversation around Madonna has shifted because of this. Where discussions once centered on her music performances and cultural impact, they now focus overwhelmingly on her appearance. Her face has become the headline, the art has become the footnote. For an artist who once controlled every narrative around her image, this is a rare loss of control. High-definition cameras and constant social media exposure have only amplified the effect. In earlier eras, lighting, styling, and editorial control could smooth over extremes. Today, nothing hides. Every angle is documented, every hollow is analyzed. Madonna's case stands as a long-term warning rather than a quick shock. Buccal fat removal may create fashionable hollows at one stage of life, but it does not pause. As the years pass, the absence becomes louder. What once looked sculpted begins to look depleted. For younger celebrities chasing sharpness, Madonna represents the future version of that choice. A reminder that trends do not age with you. Your face does. She reinvented pop. She reinvented fame. But her face shows what happens when reinvention ignores one basic truth. Some things are meant to soften with time, not be carved away from it. Khloe Kardashian. Khloe Kardashian is a different kind of case because her transformation did not happen behind closed doors. It happened in public, season by season, episode by episode, under the unforgiving lens of reality television. Few celebrities have such an extensive visual record of their face evolving in real time, and that is exactly why her changes have sparked so much debate. In the early years of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Khloe's face was fuller and more expressive. Softer cheeks, a less sculpted mid-face, and features that clearly set her apart from her sisters. Whether praised or criticized, she looked distinct. And unfortunately, that distinction became a target. By around 2018 to 2019, the shift became impossible to ignore. Her cheeks appeared noticeably hollow even during periods when her weight fluctuated elsewhere. The fullness beneath the cheekbones never returned. Instead, a sharp concavity settled into the mid-face, creating a more angular, tightly contoured appearance that stayed consistent over time. That consistency is what raised eyebrows. Weight changes come and go. Fillers can dissolve. Makeup washes off. But this hollowing remained. Industry observers point out that when cheek volume disappears permanently regardless of weight, it often signals surgical fat removal rather than natural change. What makes Khloe's transformation especially complex is the family context. Cosmetic enhancement is not whispered about in the Kardashian universe. It is normalized, monetized, and woven into the brand itself. Reinvention is expected. Change is celebrated. And yet in Khloe's case, many fans feel something was lost rather than gained. In chasing a more sculpted, snatched aesthetic, Khloe gradually moved closer to a standardized beauty ideal and further away from the features that once differentiated her. The irony is that while the transformation may photograph well from certain angles, it also erased some of her individuality within a family already known for visual sameness. The timing matters too. Her most dramatic changes coincided with intense public scrutiny, personal upheaval, and constant comparison to her sisters. In that environment, pressure does not just suggest change, it demands it. Public reaction remains deeply divided. Some call it a glow up, others call it heartbreaking. Many simply say she looks like a different person entirely. Not better, not worse, just different. Khloe Kardashian's story is not just about buccal fat removal or cosmetic procedures, it is about what happens when self-image is shaped under relentless commentary, when every angle is judged, when change feels like survival rather than choice. If you want more in-depth breakdowns of celebrity transformations and the beauty trends shaping Hollywood right now, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next. Anya Taylor-Joy. Anya Taylor-Joy did not enter Hollywood looking like everyone else. She entered looking like no one else, wide-set eyes, porcelain skin, and a face that felt almost unreal, ethereal, delicate, the kind of beauty casting directors describe as once in a generation. She was never traditionally soft, but the subtle fullness in her cheeks balanced her sharp bone structure, keeping her look otherworldly instead of severe. That balance was everything. Early in her career, especially during The Witch and the Queen's Gambit, Anya's face walked a perfect line. Strong cheekbones softened by natural volume, angular but not hollow, distinct but not harsh. She did not look sculpted, she looked born that way, and that authenticity is exactly what made her unforgettable. Then quietly, the softness started disappearing. Around 2021 into 2022, fans began noticing a shift that went beyond styling or weight changes. Red carpet appearances revealed a noticeably hollower mid-face. The area beneath her cheekbones appeared sunken, casting sharper shadows and giving her face a more skeletal quality. It did not feel gradual, it felt like subtraction. This is where Anya's case becomes especially striking. She already had extreme bone structure, the very thing buccal fat removal is designed to create. On a face like hers, removing volume does not add elegance. It amplifies severity. What once read as ethereal began to read as cold. What once felt timeless started to feel brittle. Fashion embraced it instantly. High fashion always does. Hollow cheeks photograph beautifully. Shadows sell drama. And Anya's increasing. Ratajkowski. Ratajkowski built her image on softness paired with confidence. Full lips, expressive eyes, and cheeks that gave her face warmth and femininity. She was never just a body. Her appeal came from contrast. A sensual figure balanced by a face that still felt gentle, youthful, and human. That softness made her beauty feel approachable rather than intimidating. For years, Emily's face barely changed. Even as trends pushed toward sharper, more severe looks, she remained recognizable. The cheeks stayed full. The mid-face stayed smooth. Her look aged slowly and naturally, perfectly aligned with the effortless image she represented. Then something shifted. Around 2022 to 2023, fans began noticing a persistent change. The cheeks appeared flatter. The area beneath the cheekbones looked more hollow. Shadows settled into the mid-face in a way that had not been there before. Her body remained largely the same. What changed was her face. Over time, the difference became harder to ignore. In candid photos and interviews, the hollowness lingered. The softness that once balanced her features faded, replaced by a sharper, more tired-looking structure. Beauty insiders note that this kind of mid-face hollowing rarely comes from makeup or dieting alone. It reads as surgical, and once it appears, it does not reverse. What makes Emily's case especially ironic is her public stance. She has spoken openly about beauty standards and the pressure placed on women to constantly alter themselves. She has criticized the industry for rewarding impossible ideals, yet her evolving appearance seems to move closer to the very aesthetic she once questioned. This is where the tension lives. Emily's face did not need sharpening. Her appeal was softness, warmth. Buccal fat removal does not enhance that kind of beauty. It competes with it. What once read as sensual now reads as harder. What once felt youthful now feels more strained. High fashion may love the change. Hollow cheeks photograph well. Angles read expensive. But real life is not an editorial. In motion and unfiltered moments, the loss of facial fat shows differently. Less glow, more fatigue. Facial fat is not excess. It is support. It helps a face age gently. Removing it early can accelerate aging instead of preventing it. The hollows that look subtle now do not soften later, they deepen. Ratajkowski did not lose her beauty. That is not the story. The story is contradiction. advocating self-acceptance while quietly reshaping the face to match a relentless trend. Trading softness for sharpness in an industry that never stops asking for more. Stops asking for more. Stops asking for more. Stops asking for more.